So, what does it really mean to be free? I mean, for a lot of us, it's just a word, right? But for Nelson Mandela, it was something else entirely. It was this living, breathing hunger that shaped his entire life. So let's take a journey, using his own powerful words, to see how a simple wish for personal freedom grew into this incredible idea about what it means to be human.
Okay, so right out of the gate, Mandela lays out what he sees as the central struggle of being a person, these twin obligations. You've got your duty to your family, your kids, your parents, and then you've got your duty to your community, your country. In a normal world, you'd think those two things would go hand in hand, but Mandela's world was anything but normal.
He quickly discovered that in the South Africa he grew up in, these two duties weren't just in conflict. No, the system of apartheid was specifically designed to make them impossible to follow at the same time.
Think about it. Every time he tried to fulfill that obligation to his people, just fighting for their basic dignity, the state treated him like a criminal. And what was the punishment for that crime? Well, it was to isolate him, to take him away, making it completely impossible to be a father, a husband, a son.
Can you just imagine the personal toll of that? To serve your community, you had to be literally torn away from your own family. It was a twisted, cruel setup meant to break a person's spirit. But here's the thing, he didn't always see the world in this complicated, painful way. Not at all. When he was a boy, his idea of freedom was so much simpler. It was direct, it was real, and as he'd find out later, it was a total illusion.
I love this quote because it's so revealing. He's saying, look, I didn't start out craving freedom because as a kid I thought I already had it all. His world was small, sure, but inside it, he felt totally and completely free. And for young Mandela, freedom wasn't some big political concept. Nope, it was something you could feel. You could taste. The freedom to just run wild in the fields, to swim in a stream, to eat under the stars. As long as he listened to his father and followed the traditions of his tribe, life was good. He felt no chains.
And then, bam, the realization hits him, that jarring moment when he figures out that the world he thought was so free was actually a cage, that his freedom had been stolen before he even knew what to call it. And right there, in that moment, that's when the hunger began.
But you see, this hunger wasn't a static thing. It wasn't a one-and-done deal. It grew. It changed. It evolved, right along with Mandela as he went from a boy to a young man, and then from a man into a leader. You can really see it happen in stages. First, when he was a student, it was kind of a selfish hunger, for those small personal freedoms, like staying out late or reading whatever book he wanted. Then, as a young man, it got bigger. He started yearning for those basic, honorable freedoms, the right to earn a living, to raise a family. But the final step, well, that was the game changer. The slow, dawning realization that it wasn't just his freedom on the line. It was everyone who looked like him.
And that was the pivot. That's the exact moment his own personal struggle became something so much bigger. The I became a we.
Once that switch flipped, there was no going back. It wasn't just about his own life anymore. It was about the dignity, the respect, the very future of millions of people. And this new, huge sense of purpose, it completely transformed him as a person.
It took the fear that any young person would feel living in a system that brutal.
And it forged that fear into this unbelievable, solid steel courage that just overshadowed everything else.
This mission also took a man who, as a lawyer, deeply believed in the rule of law and the system.
And it forced him to become what that very system called a criminal, all in the name of a much higher justice. This incredible personal change led him to his most powerful idea of all.
This, right here, is the absolute heart of his philosophy. The idea that freedom can't be split up. You can't be truly free if your neighbor is still in chains. He realized his own freedom was completely tied up with everyone else's. He literally felt the chains on his people as if they were wrapped around his own arms.
But he doesn't stop there. And this next part, this is where things get really profound. He took that idea of indivisible freedom and took it one radical step further. He realized it didn't just apply to the oppressed, it applied to the oppressor, too.
He started to see the oppressor in a totally new light, not just as some evil enemy, but as another kind of prisoner. A prisoner of hatred, trapped by their own prejudice, their own soul locked away behind bars they built themselves.
I mean, just think about that for a second. He's saying that by taking away someone else's freedom, you are caging your own humanity. You are not truly free.
And here, he brings it all together. He creates this perfect, powerful symmetry. Being unfree is a shared condition.
It doesn't matter if you're the one in the jail cell or the one holding the key.
So the ultimate takeaway is this: oppression creates a shared prison. It robs both the person being oppressed and the person doing the oppressing of their humanity. They're just trapped on opposite sides of the very same inhumane system.
Which, of course, leaves us with one last really challenging question to chew on. If real freedom means freeing both sides from this prison of injustice, then who ultimately holds the key that can unlock both doors?